Hi everybody, I'm Joey. Well, this video is really a bit of a catch up on what I've been doing. I haven't released a project video in a couple of weeks, I think. And I've just been really busy. I've got lots of jobs on, but none of them are really video worthy right now. But I did promise I would do a kind of a recap on that Edwardian bench seat and the armoire that I think were the last two videos. So here's a little recap on the finishing process on there.
Right, so for the bench seat, my client opted for this dark stain, and luckily not for the armoire, so it wasn't such of a mission to stain this, but yeah, still took some time. I just used this small speed brush, a sponge, essentially it's just a sponge, and it worked pretty good. I don't have any good pictures of this finished properly sitting in its home, but you'll get the idea. So for the armoire, I just had to take the doors off and give it a final once over, and then I could get on to putting the clear coat on. I just used a water base as usual, a water-based polyurethane, and first coat here by brush just to get everywhere where it needs to be, and then a sanding between. I think I sanded maybe up to 400, but probably just 240 grit between coats. And this armoire is going to be living at the top of a stairwell, kind of on a landing, and so this is it in its final position. So it was pretty difficult to actually get a good shot of it because it's a fairly tight space, well, for the camera anyway, even with the wide lens on.
Just this weekend gone by, I had Adam come by the workshop for a Sunday class. He'd bought a bunch of maple off a local auction site and wanted to mill it up for I think it was a tabletop and some bedside tables, and so this is a little bit of the process we went through with him. It's all up the shit.
So he had these pretty big pieces of maple, kind of 250 by 80 thick, then they were pretty twisted. So my joint is too small to take that size piece of timber, so we screwed on the sled and just wedged it in place so the plywood still was straight, and then we just fed that through the thicknesser to flatten off one side. Then we could take it off the sled again and just feed it through the thicknesser until we had kind of flat both sides. And then Adam had a first go at jointing, trying to cut off his fingers at the same time. We ended up splitting these pieces on the bandsaw, and we ended up with like 32mm thick pieces for his tabletop. And then we just removed the bandsaw marks, and he was good to go.
And finally, what I've been trying to get to for so long, but haven't been able to find the time, and I got onto the flooring for our new house. I would like to just say here that probably there'll be no more house build videos as such, because it's essentially finished now. All the videos, I'll kind of show off the house in its finished state as I kind of complete the pieces of furniture for those areas. And I've got a whole list of things from very boring shelving through to very cool dining suite that I'm in the process of designing. And so there's going to be lots of stuff for my house coming up. But let's get started. So the flooring, we had big plans for doing a solid ash herringbone floor throughout the house, most of it. And at the start of the job, that was in the budget. By the time it came to doing the flooring, that budget was kind of cut in half, as tends to happen with house builds. So we decided to do something completely different, and I don't think I've seen anything quite like it. So we're using 12mm birch ply, and I'm going to put walnut inlays in all the joins, and so this is where we've got to so far.
So I'm just using this surfacing bit for a CNC to cut the rebates. It's got the removable blades there, and it does a really good job in making a nice clean rebate. Then I could put on the latest Dan Carlin podcast and start planing walnut. I jointed both edges of the walnut boards I had, and after I rip off a 3mm strip, I'd go back and join the edges again, and then come back and rip a strip. That way I put the bandsaw edge face down into the rebates and have a somewhat jointed edge at the top. And after making it fit pretty good, I could get on to cutting a whole lot of them. So we started by secret gluing process, which you're not allowed to see. Get out of the way, thank you. Yep, so there's one of the first pieces going down of the plywood, and ended up being a pretty good fit considering I cut all of these in the workshop. And we obviously glued them and then shot them down in the rebates and around the edges where we could. Had to make a couple of adjustments because the bloody builders built a crooked house. And then that was the hallway done pretty quick. And then into the bathroom, where Dad had got a bit carried away and put the skirting boards on already, so there was pretty much no tolerance there for how tight the boards were. We ended up with a few gaps, but pretty bloody good actually. The most difficult part about cutting all the flooring was that I wanted to orientate the grain direction perpendicular to each other. So if anyone who might actually notice will see that it's more like a giant set of tiles rather than just sheets of plywood with the grain all going in one direction. So if you're ever in my house, take note, because it was a bugger.
No, it's empty.
And the inlays went in surprisingly easily and quickly. Did the bathroom, the hallway and the laundry in like 25 minutes. Let's just squirt the glue in and pop in the inlays. They were pretty good fitting. There's a couple of pieces we had to hold down with weights, mainly on the intersections, but otherwise just really good. So this is our kitchen, kind of scullery kitchen area looking down into the dining room, and we're all ready for paint out here. We're still waiting on the fireplace to be installed, which is meant to be in like a week and a bit. You can see the front door there coming through into our bedroom, which is pretty much finished. That bed is just there for storage at the moment. I need to make a bed and all sorts going on in that room, but I'll explain more on that later. And now the flooring is almost finished in the bathroom. We're just about ready to go. I really just have to sand the joints on the floor and put some clear coat down, so we're getting pretty close to being able to move in, kind of.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Thanks for sticking around, and stay tuned. I've got a pretty cool couple of projects in the pipeline, just sorting out the details with my client, but I'm about to start a couple of cool Rimu projects. And for those of you not familiar, Rimu is a pretty rare now native timber here in New Zealand. I don't work with it very much, so it'll be interesting to see how we go. Anyway, I'll see you on the next one. See ya.